Related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. I would like to offer to your attention the major events which took place in the ATO zone. In Mariupol direction, the battles and fightings in Shirokino were around the clock, and the enemy uses the wide spectrum of weaponry, including the multiple rocket launchers Grad-P. Also, we registered the active shooting on part of the enemy's snipers. In the next direction, the situation is the most difficult. Actually, there is incessant fighting taking place in the area of the airport in Marinka. At Gorlivka, the situation is more or less stable, despite the fact that there are a lot of the enemy's provocations, but there was no heavy weaponry used by the illegal armed formations. In Lugansk direction, the militants shelled our positions in late at night. The most difficult situation in Shastia, as a result of the mortar shelling, 2 civilians were wounded. Also, there were some armed provocations in Popasna, Novatoshkilsky, Stanitsa Lugansk. Yesterday also we registered 7 flights on the drones. Over the last day, 4 hours, 1 of our Ukrainian servicemen was killed and 3 more were wounded. On the occupied territories, the people's, let's say, dissatisfaction or is growing. 2 days ago in Dokuchavsk, there was a meeting, the participants of which expressed their resolute dissatisfaction in connection with the awful crime committed by the occupants. One of the militant shot to death at the checkpoint a local citizen. Also, the confirmation we have the confirmation information about the threats on the part of the armed militants in address to the participants in the meeting in the center of Donetsk, which took place on June 15th. May I remind you that the residents of the western district of the city suffer from the fightings and demand to stop the allocation of the heavy weaponry and the personnel of the illegal armed forces in the residential quarters. The National Academy students and the special forces students actually went through the special exercise. On the basis of the International Center of the Peacekeeping and Security of the Academy of the Army, our servicemen undertook the course of training together with their British counterparts. For 10 days, the British soldiers shared the practical experience and the secrets of organization of the rare support. They had a practical exercise how to act in case of shelling of the convoy on the part of the enemy's artillery. At the same time, our military guys made their contribution to the curriculum because they have experience of the combat and actions in the ATO zone. Militiamen in the Donetsk region helped the civilians. The law enforcement officers who now serve in one of the hot beds in the ATO zone, Marinka, they constantly assist and provide help to the local population. The residents of Marinka actually appreciate the efforts, and they provide the servicemen with the vegetables from their own plots of land. Ukrainian special services carry out the successful anti-terrorist measures. SBU actually detained a woman and a man who were the informers of the band formation DPR. It has been established that they were recruited by the intelligence service of Russia by the officer, it's called Starshina, who actually coordinated the activities of the saboteur groupings of the so-called DPR. The Russian officer also was a leader of the recruited of the spy network, which consists from the local residents of Donetsk, Vinnytsk, and Lviv regions. Also, our law enforcement officers blocked the attempts to provide the band formation LPR with the spare parts for the drones. The Ukrainian law enforcement officers confiscate the weapons in the ATO zone. So the militiamen in the Donetsk region who serve in Avdiivka found the hiding place containing 4 anti-tank grenade launchers, 20 RGD-5 grenades, and 120 cartridges for the machine guns. Also in the village of Kiro, Dzержinski City Council, while they searching the house, they confiscated 12 grenades of different systems and more than 100 cartridges to different weapons. Ukrainian volunteers continue to help the defenders on the front line. The law enforcement officers of the special battalion Kyivshchina received the powerful modified vehicle for carrying service in the ATO zone. Such a vehicle will provide the safe, let's say, movement in the area and fastly actually change their location points. Also, volunteers provided the medical preparation for the surgical operations from the Swiss benevolent organizations to the tune of over 3,000 euro. In particular, the field hospitals in the ATO zone received different the sodium solutions in the blood plasma. New fighters went to the ATO zone, to the front line, and they're going to replace their colleagues who soon will return home. The newcomers will ensure the public order and help the local law enforcement officers. The Rivne militiamen actually became donors, blood donors, providing blood for the wounded comrades. Each of the Rivne law enforcement officers who serve in the east of Ukraine, they understand that their blood will help to save the lives of our Ukrainian citizens. This exhausts my information so far. I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you, Carol. Questions? Ksenia Dvornikov, Channel 5. Question regarding the ATO situation. If we are to analyze the armed provocation on the part of the militants, 1 month ago, a week ago, what's the tendency to increase or towards decrease of this number of these shellings? So what kind of weaponry they used for shelling? Mortar launchers, grads, whatever. Whatever weaponry they have at their disposal, they use it to full measure, starting from firearms, machine guns or sniper rifles, and all the way to the large caliber 152 millimeter howitzers and 2 millimeters mortar launchers. Also, they use multi-rocket launchers Grad and Grad P. In other words, this is a mobile or movable system, and has the charge, just one charge. It's a kind of mobile weapon system, also a very powerful one. Well, this is enough to kill or to wound our guys. But the provocations which take place now, they have a tendency, well, this tendency is stable. They do not stop shelling and bombardment. If you're talking about the amount, it's maybe the same, but the intensity of the shelling is on the increase. We actually register and we state that almost incessantly and around the clock they shell Opitne, Pisky, Avdiivka, And now Shirokina also is subjected to very intense shelling and bombardment. Thank you, colleagues. Any more questions? Austrian TV correspondent. Can we talk about the ceasefire or the truce, whether the Minsk agreements really work or are observed? Why I'm talking about that? Because we have a war, not the truce now, not the ceasefire. Do you have any information about the Russian factor on the temporarily occupied territory? How many Russian formations are present on the territory temporarily occupied by militants? Speaking about the peace agreements, all the agreements which were signed in Minsk, the Ukrainian side tries to observe those and actually show the example how to observe those. But Ukrainians are forced to retaliate, to respond in the fire which they open against our guys. We can't allow them to do what they want to do, to capture new territories and to introduce disorder in a new. We are not going to allow that. As according to the provisions of the Minsk agreements, we stay at the positions near the contact line. The heavy weaponry has been withdrawn to the distance specified in the Minsk agreements, and Ukraine is going to continue to stick to those, to observe those agreements, or get the whole country, because those are international agreements. We're going to observe those in an exemplary way. Speaking about the Russian factor, Russia continues to send to the territory of Ukraine both their hirelings and the servicemen, military servicemen, and they drafted and those who serve on the contracts, but the acting troops of Russia are now on territory of Ukraine. Approximate number of those, about 8,000 Russian military guys. Along the borderline between Russia and Ukraine, on the territory of Russia, they concentrated over 40,000 Russian troops. So we cannot say that Russia does not affect the situation available today in the Donbass area. We have a big number of the evidence of the presence of the Russian strength component in the political efforts to destabilize the situation in the Donbass area. You mentioned that the Donetsk airport is under shelling, but it's destroyed. So why they continue to do that? Just for you to understand, that Donetsk airport is in the adjacent territory. It's a huge area, a huge territory. On the one hand, on one side, there are our positions. We are not talking about the airport as a part of the infrastructure. Indeed, it's almost demolished. I mean, it's erased from theirs. But we have the positions, and we do not allow the enemy to move to the other territories, despite all their attempts. So we try to preserve the line in the positions which we occupy today. Thank you, Andriy Nikolaevich. Any more questions? There are none.